I'd like to introduce the esteemed Quad A Executive Director here that hasn't slept probably in 48 hours, so if he falls asleep up here, it's okay, Bill.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Thanks.
There you go. Of course, my first slide, I managed to fail to get into my computer. So first slide, you're going to have to look on your book there. There's constant confusion on the three different organizations that you experience on a daily basis, and there are actually three legal entities that you're dealing with, which should be fairly transparent to you. This is under organizational milestones. In 1953, an Army aviator named Art Keston, Cornell journalism student, got into the end of World War II, flew Piper Cubs, the original L-4s, in the occupation forces in Japan, came back, worked for his father-in-law in wholesale tire, and hated it, and drilled on the weekends at Governor's Island and as a reserve aviator in New York City. Shortly after then Captain Keston was doing that duty, he thought, geez, I can use my journalism experience along with my military experience, and he started producing most of you guys, well, maybe some of you guys are old enough, mimeographed a newsletter that came out every month called Army Aviator and then eventually Army Aviation. After about 6 months, his chain of command found out he was using government printing equipment and doing this on his drill weekend, and he was told, Captain Keston, that's a great idea, but stop doing that. So very shortly thereafter, he decided to quit his day job and start Army Aviation Publications. So from 1953 to 1957, Art and his wife Dottie will be here at some point, I think today. Art passed on a year or two ago now. They started Army Aviation Publications out of their apartment in New York City. Moved out to Connecticut somewhere in the late 50s. Anyway, 1957, Bob Williams, who was in the class before one, retired as Lieutenant General. General Hamilton Howes, four-star, was then a brigadier, came to Art and said, geez, Art, you got 4,000 subscribers to your magazine. We'd really like to start an association. We'd like to get flight pay and things like that we have to join currently the Air Force Association. This is back in the 50s. So Art put out a questionnaire, and sure enough, everybody wanted to start their own not-for-profit association. So at that point, they converted the 4,000 subscribers for the magazine into members, incorporated it as a 501c4, and there is a board that runs the Army Aviation Association of America that has, depending on the month, 17 to 18,000 members organized, and you just saw 72 chapters. Right? So now we got a publishing company beginning in 1953 that actually runs the magazine, and all the staff, all that stuff, which should be invisible to you. We got a 1957 not-for-profit, which is a C4, not a C3. It is not a charity. If you gave $100 to Quad A, you cannot take it off your taxes. Quad A will not be taxed on it, but it is not a charity. 6 years later, 1963, somebody had the bright idea, let's start a scholarship foundation to benefit our kids. And so in 1963, they created the Army Aviation Association of America Scholarship Foundation Incorporated. It has a separate board. It is different than Quad A. It is a C3 full-up charity. You write a $100 check to the Scholarship Foundation, you can take it off your taxes. But you got three different entities. The Scholarship Foundation exists solely to benefit members of the Quad A. You may have noticed in that process that they have to become a Quad A member or be related to a Quad A member in order to qualify for a scholarship. Okay, API, our staff. And I'm talking now inside the publishing company, which you guys should seem seamless. This is your Quad A national staff, okay? What we've done is we've reorganized over the last 2 years into a non-traditional, non-pyramid type organization. We're very, very flat, and everybody wears 2, 3, 4 hats, and we've identified individual employees as product leaders. They're oriented on the individual product. For example, chapters is a product in our language. Membership is a product. And each one of these people is supported by 4 resource leaders, which are your common IT, marketing, communications, that type of thing below them. But they're the people you interface with. Barbara right here, I think you heard introduced earlier, is our product lead for chapters. Everything goes through her, and she and Jan, who's the volunteer leader, keep in mind, unlike a lot of organizations, all your officers in Quad A, all your board members are not paid a dime. This is not like other organizations that pay these guys six-figure salaries. They make nothing. Only the president is compensated for official travel to a chapter. If he can't do it, whatever the event is, it falls to the senior VP, then the secretary, then the treasurer, and then perhaps a past president. But there's only one person to one event, and perhaps a spouse, but that's it. So we're pretty lean and mean on the Quad A side. We don't have a bunch of 4 stars writing papers and stuff like that. So this is the way we are organized. Next slide. You can just see, it's too small to read here, but who the primary and secondary product leaders are for membership. It's Deb Cavallero. She unfortunately couldn't be with us at this event. Her husband's quite ill, but she runs all our membership. Those are probably the people you run most into. Janice Arena's not in the room. She coordinates all the awards from the Hall of Fame on down. Oh, there's Janice right there. Janice, stand up. Wave your arms. Wave your arms. There's Janice. All right. You guys will be working with her, everything from the Soldier of the Year to the functional area awards, like, air traffic control, air sea rescue, things like that. And then the interface, I want our employees to think of you guys as customers. Customers are right, and you need to get satisfied in terms of what your needs are. So it's got to be customer-centric, and that's what we beat into our people all the time, is, are they doing the right thing for you? And it doesn't have to go through 5 layers of bureaucracy. They have the authority to make decisions as long as it doesn't cost a hell of a lot of money in order to satisfy your needs. You can see in the next slides a little bit more of the organization responsibilities. So if you guys are not getting satisfaction, I need to know about it. My job is at the bottom of the pyramid as sort of conflict resolution and making sure that the resource leaders are supplying what the product leaders need in order to get to you guys. So that's the overall concept. All right, next thing I want to talk about is my meetings in the Pentagon, in the E-Ring, with the Office of General Counsel. There were all kinds of rumors running around last year that active duty, and particularly this focused on a lot of 06s, cannot be Quad A chapter officers. That is, I went back and forth, got a pretty good relationship with the assistant and deputy general counsels in the Army and the Pentagon. They just verbally several times said, no, that's not really true. We think we need to have a sit down. So I had a sit down on April 5th with 2 of them, Peggy and Mark. You'll see them, the point of contacts are listed there. I created these slides subsequent to that meeting. I sent these slides to them. They made a couple tweaks, sent it back, and they knew I was going to brief these to you. We are going to hang these on the website along with the supporting documents. The basic concept is, if you're 06 and below, you are completely able to be involved with a private organization, period, full stop. The only caveat is, if you as an 06 are the senior commander of that installation, you cannot be, because there's nobody to appeal any decisions to or anything else, okay? What that means, whatever your rank, is that you cannot make a decision that would have, by the 1993 JER or anything else, the appearance of impropriety. So, for example, if you were a Quad A chapter president and you would only let your hangar get used for a fun run, start just for Quad A, that would be something that somebody could complain about. So you would have to recuse yourself from that decision to use your hangar for a fun run, start, finish. You would have to buck it up to the, if you were battalion commander, buck it up to the brigade commander to the division commander, whatever, so that your hands are clean, that decision was made in an objective fashion. Why couldn't AUSA do the same thing in your hangar? Why couldn't somebody else do it? So that's the caveat. You give up certain abilities, certain flexibility, because you now have what's called, in legal terms, a covered relationship with a private organization. So you can't do anything that's perceived to be, in your official capacity, something that is going to be favoring one organization over another organization. You can read through the slides. General officers get into a lot more trouble. 3 stars and 4 stars are absolutely prohibited. They must resign from any board of anything. Private, that was a new law that came through in the last 2 years. 1 and 2 stars can be assigned as what are called official liaisons by their higher headquarters. So for example, 1 or 2 star could be assigned by TRADOC headquarters to be official liaison, come to our board meetings. They are not listed on the masthead. They do not vote. but they can be an official liaison to take information back and forth. That's fine. But 06s and below, as you can read in there and see the supporting documentation in the following pages, are fine. Let me see if I've forgotten anything. Yes. They ask you, please don't, as a first resort, go up to Peggy and mark any E-ring. Okay? That's good. One sure way to piss off your chain of command and make your local ethics counselor very unhappy. So go to your local ethics counselor first, show them what you've got here. If they need additional support, they'll go further up their food chain. If all else fails, suggest that they contact Mark and Peggy. They're totally aware of what's going on. I will tell you, at the highest levels, they are very supportive. They understand the value of these organizations. It's the mid-level, it's the JAG majors, JAG captains that we run into problems with, not just here dealing with private organizations, but they get into this zero defect mentality. Hopefully there are no JAG guys in here. But, it's where no risk is good risk. So if you don't turn rotor blades, you can't have any Class A's. You stay on the ground, keep the motors cold, you're good. And when that starts filtering over into this type of thing, it impacts soldiers and soldiers' lives. It is not the intent in the E-ring to stop this stuff. You do have to, maintain objectivity, and you do have to recuse yourself from a decision that could be seen to benefit the private organization, your specific private organization. But that's about it. If you go towards the back of my briefing, you'll see the letters that they supplied me with, which outline some of the specific regulations involved. And again, we're going to hang all this on the website, and I briefed our board, our full board yesterday. Okay? You'll see that goes on, DOD 5500. That's about it. Those are the two. I wanted to give you an idea of who the people are that you're working with at the national office, and make sure that you're getting satisfaction. If you're not, get stuff directly to me. It's Bill at quad-a.org, same as everybody else. Just put Bill in front, and I'll get that email directly. Nobody else will see that. If you need me to actually take an action, make sure you do it at exec.director. Exec.director goes automatically to Barb, who also doubles as my assistant, and that'll instantaneously go to her and to me. And at least once a week, we circle up and do what's called a red folder meeting to make sure that any actions that are sitting there got some love. All right, with that, questions from me on the national organization and what you guys need out there in the field. And just wait for me to get the mic to you so we capture it on tape. No questions? You've had no problems with JAGs? No other issues? Pretty lucky. What am I doing here, Jan? Am I giving you back a bunch of time? All right, if we don't have any other questions, we'll roll into Mike Freeman, who's our scholarship president. What? Oh, we got one? Okay, hold on. Wait, Kurt Herrick in the back.
I'm just a chapter member, but I was really pleased to hear the progress that Bill's reported to you. That's a big deal. The only question I have is how is that going to be promulgated through the JAG world?
Yeah, that was my question to those guys. It's going to actually have to be bottom up from you guys. Actually, Mark Vetter, who was the lead officer, he actually trains the local ethics counselors. And I was expressing to Mark again, I mean, your intent is not getting down to the mid-level, low-level, installation level JAGs. So, they got it loud and clear. They need to do a better job in communicating. But, guys, it's not your first day in the Army. It's a big institution, very, very bureaucratic. And it's like the telephone game, right? You tell something to you, and you tell something to him, and you tell something to him. By the time it gets back to me, it's a totally different story. So there has to be some little more standardization. These documents are out there. And as I said, they specifically approved the slides that you see in front of you today that'll be hung out there. So they're completely aware. In worst case, the stuff ends up coming back to them, and they will tell your local ethics counselor, yes, there is not a complete prohibition from active duty, National Guard, Reserve, in uniform, serving in positions of authority in a private organization, specifically Quad A in this case. So, you may be getting a different story at your local installation, Try and work it through the local chain. Don't jump immediately up to the E-ring with the point of contacts you see there. But they are aware of it, and we can fix it for you. But I know it was a huge issue. We had 3 or 4 brigade commanders told they had to resign immediately, and they all did within a matter of days. And that was unfortunate. We we want to make sure we are the umbrella organization for the Army aviation community. So we have industry members, we have retired, we have veterans, but fundamentally, we're focused on people in uniform and your families today. So we're going to continue to care for you from cradle to grave, but we're not going to turn into a retired officer-only organization. And when I joined Quad A back in the late 80s, it was perceived to be a general officer's gold gray beer drinking club that really didn't give a damn about soldiers. And I can tell you that's not true.